I grew up in a small town called Hillsdale in New Jersey. We had a tract of land about 10 or 12 acres with a brook at the end of it. And the brook was called the Musquapsink Brook, which is obviously an Indian name. And I remember when I was quite small, I was wading in that brook in the back of our property, and I saw a fish coming towards me, and I bent down and I caught the fish in my bare hands, and it was just an ugly old sucker fish, and I let it go, but it was an incredible thrill for me to have done that. My name is Natalie Mason Gawdiak. I live in Silver Spring, Maryland, and I work here in the Law Library, the Library of Congress, as a research and information analyst. The street I lived on was called Pascack Road in the Pascack Valley, and the Pascack refers to an Indian tribe, which was part, I believe, of the Lenni Lenape, the Delaware nation. My older brother would find fossils there, and including Indian arrowheads. And even as a small child, it made me feel very sad that there were no more Pascack Indians. And I always thought of them living on that land that we lived on. My mother used to say to me that we don't own anything, and we're just lent things in this life. And so I felt very bad as I grew older, knowing that the Indians felt that the same thing, that they don't own the land, we just are allowed to use it. The poem that is one of my favorites is called Fishing by Joy Harjo. She is a Native American poet, and it's an amazing poem. It's hard to say why you like a poem sometimes. It's like trying to explain a joke or say why you love somebody. But this poem reminds me of my childhood. My family was a family of absolute fanatic fishermen. The most important day of the year in our household was the opening day of trout season, and my father and my brother especially would prepare for that for weeks. And everyone in the house knew when fishing season arrived. My poor mother was not so interested in fishing, but after many years of marriage, she decided that she had to give in, so she became a fly fisherman herself and tied her own flies and so on. Fishing by Joy Harjo. This is the longest day of the year on the Illinois or a similar river in the same place. Cicadas are part of the song as they praise their invisible ancestors, while fish blink back the relentless sun in Oklahoma, circle in the muggy river of life. They dare the fisher to come get them. Fish, too, anticipate the game of fishing. Their ancestors perfected the moves, sent down stories that appear as electrical impulse when sunlight hits water. The hook carries great symbology in the coming of age and is crucial in the making of warriors. The greatest warriors are those who dangle a human for hours on a string, break sacred water for the profanity of air, then snap fiercely back into pearly molecules that describe fishness. They smell me as I walk the banks with fishing pole, night crawlers, and a promise I made to that old friend Lewis to fish with him this summer. This is the only place I can keep that promise, inside a poem as familiar to him as the banks of his favorite fishing place. I try not to let the fish see me, see them, as they look for his tracks on the soft earth made of fossils and ashes. I hear the burble of fish talk. When is that old creek coming back? He was the one we loved to tease most. We liked his songs, and once in a while he gave us a good run. Last night I dreamed I tried to die. I was going to look for Lewis. It was rather comical. I worked hard to muster my last breath, then lay down in the summer along the banks of the last mythic river, my pole and tackle box next to me. What I thought was my last breath floated off as a cloud, making an umbrella of grief over my relatives. How embarrassing when the next breath came and then the next. I reeled in one after another as if I'd caught a bucket of suckers instead of bass. I guess it wasn't my time, I explained. and went fishing anyway as a liar, and I know most fishers to be liars most of the time. Even Lewis when it came to fishing or even dying. The leap between the sacred and profane is as thin as a fishing line, and is part of the mystery on this river of life, as is the way our people continue to make warriors in the strangest of times. I saved this part of the poem for the fish camp next to the oldest spirits, whose dogs bark to greet visitors. It's near Lewis's favorite spot, where the wisest and fattest fish lays. I'll meet him there.
The Favorite Poem Project is made possible by the National Endowment for the Arts, fostering America's creativity and investing in our living cultural heritage. Additional funding has been provided by the John S. and James L. Knight Foundation and by the William and Flora Hewlett Foundation.